Welcome to the Good Seed Podcast. I'm Allie.
And I'm Rachel.
Today we're going to be talking about how to not care about what people think.
Ooh, this is a good topic.
It's kind of going to hit home for you.
It is going to hit home
right?
for me. So, I am a recovering people pleaser. And I will say, over the course of our friendship for the last, 6 months? 7 months? That has been you have helped me.
Overcome
this, yes.
How has it all started? Let's go back to like our roots, I think, because I think that where we come from, because it's we have such contrast to our like childhood.
Our upbringing.
So let's start off with that. So country girl from small town in Kentucky, tell us.
It's not that small, but 6th largest city.
Tell us about how being from a small town, I think, contributes so much about actually caring about what people think, like too much.
Yeah.
You know?
No, you're absolutely right. Yeah. So, grew up in a fairly small town, and feel like the older I got, like the more people I knew, and so like everybody knows everybody to some degree. Like you go to the bank, you go to church, you go to a Mexican restaurant, like a lot of people know you, right? And know where you come from and know your background. And it's like, I know my Southern gals are going to relate to this, but like everybody just chit chats, and they're just like, a lot of people just gossip about one another.
Yeah.
Like is it that way in your culture?
I mean, we're not that bored. Like, no.
You guys don't gossip?
We do, but I think that it's harder because there's more people. So it's like, you know what I'm saying? Like, not everyone knows everything about everyone.
Yeah.
Which, when it's about, like, your small town, every freaking person knows the next.
Yeah,
you know?
True.
So it's like the guy you last dated probably dated 5 of your friends.
Yeah, for sure.
So for me, have never had that issue.
Ever?
No.
That's a beautiful thing, Allie.
I've never had that issue before.
You don't get anybody's repeats? You don't?
I unfortunately, no. Yet to.
Nice.
No, it's nice. It's pretty cool.
Okay, so you grew up where? Just to set the stage.
So Puerto Rico, but I mean, I've been around.
You have been around.
Yeah, Washington State, Florida. Well, hold on. Puerto Rico, Florida, Washington State, Florida, Puerto Rico, Florida. So I don't think I've been, like, raised more or less in a certain place, but I think the contrast behind city life, small town, and honestly, like, the religion side of it as well, right? That's a big one because I wasn't born into Christianity or religion. Really didn't give much of like attention to maybe what religion was like or what actually entails all of that. So I think that now knowing Christianity and knowing about religion and like, you know, it's gotten a bad rep.
Yeah.
It's gotten a really, really bad rep because it's like we're too judgy. And that's not good, right? So, and by the way, like, just to put this out there, LGBT, like, atheists, like, you're all freaking welcome here. I love all y'all. Like, I don't care.
Yeah.
You know? Like, I don't care. Like, we really have to, whenever someone talks about Christianity, they bash these kinds of, I guess, groups of people, right?
That is not at all our mission or our goal. Like, we want everybody to
everyone's
feel welcome, and like
Jesus loved everyone.
Absolutely.
So
we're
that's
called
not his
to love, and so there's no hate in my heart for anybody like that. Absolutely not.
So where I come from, which is that, and then where you come from, which is this is how you're supposed to live your life inside of this box.
Yeah.
And good freaking luck getting out of it.
Yeah.
Like that goes down to like people pleasing.
I agree.
Because I didn't have something to follow. My path got created as I walked. Your path was created for you to walk on. Right? So
that was good.
So
Ali.
it's like it's
that
literally
really
how we're born into this thing, right? So now that I come from that, and I actually met the Lord in 2018, and I have such I'm from the hood. Like, I come from a different side of town. So it's like coming from that, knowing the Lord is just a completely different thing because I please Him.
Yeah.
That's what I want to live for, right? So if the next person is like, she's not a Christian, she drops the F-bomb sometimes and she's not Christian or she's not following the Bible, I can be like, well, you know what? Maybe the Lord has something different to say because I'm only looking to please Him. So for me, it's really easy to not care about what people think because I'm not looking to please them.
Your identity is in the Lord.
Right, and not in religion.
Yeah.
Which is what we
Very
get
different.
really confused
Yeah.
when we're born into it.
Yeah.
So talk a little bit about that. Like when you are born into religion, let's just be broad about it. Like religion overall, right? Because I was not born into that again. How do you think that contributes to your process now when you're almost 30 into still
Why do you gotta throw that out there?
It's not that bad. Shoot. I'll be 32 soon. So how do you think that contributes so much? Like it hits home really, really like far for you because of what you were born into. So what do you have to say about that? Being born into it.
Yeah, like being born into it. And I will say like I broke the molds pretty early on of like what my, I guess, parents' expectations were of me. Like I was born into an extremely conservative household, and so honestly, like starting in high school, I was just like, hey, I'm gonna kind of do my own thing. I didn't like really rebel, but it was just like I started to break that mold.
Yeah.
Like whenever I was in high school, and looking back, I'm like, you go, girl. Like freshman in high school and kind of doing her own thing. That's pretty cool.
Yeah.
But then it was still that mold of the expectations of, I don't know, like most people from around where I'm at, like a lot of times you meet your spouse in college. A lot of the time you get married right out of college and then you have babies and then like that's that, And I will say that was never really my end goal per se, right? But I did always picture like, okay, by the age of 25 I'll probably be married and have a couple of babies, and like that's just kind of like
that's the mindset
expectation,
right?
Kind of, yeah.
It's like college, get married, babies, and that's
work
life.
And life,
that's life.
Yeah, I broke that mold.
That's hard though. It gets you into the box, and then I see this now that I have I think reach into like people that were born into it and having that contrast with me specifically. But a lot of young people that are from small towns that are based on religion get married in their early 20s when they don't even freaking know themselves.
Yeah.
And then they're 30 and they're like, what did I do?
This was not a good decision.
Yeah. Like I didn't go through my stages of life. I didn't really know this person.
I was whenever,
and I mean, there's exceptions to the rule, I believe, for everything, right? So maybe 1 out of 1,000 like stay happily married, right? But it's very rare because if you don't really know yourself, and in your 20s, early 20s, you don't. Like when you're fresh out of college, like you haven't even started to live yet, right? And I think it goes down to like the thinking inside of the box of religion and people pleasing, because hold on, this is what my dad and mom and dad want. They want me to have babies, they want me to get married before I have babies, and and there's an order. I'm not gonna say there's not an order to all of this, right? I think I like to think that I did it the right way, right? Like I got married at a healthy age. I was 27, had babies. I think I was financially stable. I thought it through, right? But I think if I was born into religion, I would have probably married my 20-year-old boyfriend at the time that right now still lives with his mom, by the way. So having that
Isn't
said,
that crazy to think about? Like, how
he's
would your
a really-
life be so different right
he's
now?
a really nice guy, and my mom still loves him and actually talks to him and everything, okay? He's in Puerto Rico. Shout out to him. But he still lives with his mom. And I remember when I broke up with him, when we were like, I think it was 2021, and my mom was like, but he's so, my mom was like, loved him more than me, right? And she was like, but he's such a perfect guy. And I was like, he's a loser. He lives with his mom. Like, I was out of my out of mom's house when I was like 17.
Same.
Like,
I was 17.
like, peace out.
I was 17. Yeah.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
having that said, like, I look now back and I don't talk to him or whatever, but last time I checked on him with, by the way, was through mom. She was like, yeah, he's still living with his mom. And I was like, amazing. Could you freaking imagine? Like, I would die.
Yeah.
So it's pretty cool that I wasn't born into it, because I probably would have married him, would have had kids with him. I would not be here today.
Yeah.
I would not be the person I am today, right?
Yeah.
So I think it's really important. I think our roots kind of like obviously shape us in some sort of way, but breaking through that, what would you say has been, because this has been like a challenge for you the past few months, right?
Yes.
So what would
Very
you
much working
say,
on this.
what has helped actually break through like the people pleasing mentality?
Yeah. I think for me, it's been like pausing before I like make any decisions, and is thinking of the intentionality behind it. Like, is my intention like let's use a dumb example, like posting a story on Instagram,
Right.
for example.
Yeah.
I feel like everyone can relate to
Yeah.
that. It's like I remember once upon a time I would like post things and be like, oh, I hope so and so sees this and likes it, right? Or it's like, oh, I wonder what this person would think about this outfit. I'm probably gonna get a phone call later. Like thinking about like, are you posting it because you want to, for you, or is it for validation from other people?
Yeah.
Like, just take a second and like think about your intention behind doing things. And so this is translated, I mean, far beyond Instagram. Like, this is translated into this podcast and like other business decisions and like just personal choices, right? And it's and just thinking of the intentionality, and like something else, another question that I think we talk a lot about when we're discussing things with one another is like, is this serving you?
Right.
I think that's a big one.
Yeah, that's huge. And I think when you really think, one of the things that made me realize, or makes me stop, I think, whenever I want to do something or not, like this podcast, like, why were we thinking about not doing it? It was because we didn't want to hurt people's feelings. Yeah. Because people suck sometimes, and it's okay. And we're not here to call anyone out on it specifically. We're here to talk about our freaking trials, and people are going to be hurt along the way. But it's measuring it out, because we're not doing it to hurt them. We're doing it to actually bless people, right? So checking yourself, I think, your intentions about how you do things, why you do things, and going back down to, again, like feeling guilty. Like, I don't think that's a good feeling to base like the decisions you make out of. Like, for example, let me go out of my way to do this. I don't want to do it, but let me go out of my way and do it, because poor thing. I think there's a really fine line with that as well, because when you exercise that muscle about going out of your way constantly because poor thing, or because they want to, then you get better at it. And then it's harder
you
for
have to say no to things
you have to freaking say no.
Serve you.
No.
Protect your energy. Protect your
time.
Your time.
Your time. That's huge.
That's our most valuable asset.
Yeah,
you can always make more money. You can't make more time.
Yep. Yeah, for sure. No, I think it really goes down to like self-worth as well, right? Because when you know in your core that your level is up here in value, come hell or freaking high water, I mean, no one can tell you otherwise, because you believe it.
Yeah.
So believing and knowing your self-worth and where that comes from, and actually truly being whole, like yourself
Yeah.
within you, I think that makes people pleasing like not that hard, right? So, or not that easy. So I really think it comes down to also self-worth. Like,
Oh, that's huge. That's
how
huge.
do you see your self-worth in terms of like the people pleasing aspect of it? How do you think that contributes to that as well?
Yeah, I feel like whenever, I think it goes back to like external validation. Like if you're looking for external validation from somebody else to fill in those, to your point, those gaps, right? Like if you aren't whole on your own, then you're looking to fill in these gaps.
Right.
And so you look for external things instead of looking intrinsically at yourself.
Right.
Right? And so like that totally relates to self-worth. And the whole idea behind self-worth is that you are whole as you are on your own.
On your own.
On your own. And so it's exactly to your point of like, whenever you have high self-worth, then you don't, like what everyone else thinks of you, you're up here, and what everyone else thinks is the bottom of your priority
Right.
list.
It's not even there.
Yeah.
It's not even there.
It's not even a blip on your radar.
No.
Yeah.
Because you think so much of yourself.
Yeah.
So what do you think it's some like for the people listening, I guess? Like how, if I'm a people pleaser, like if
How to stop.
how to stop, like what are some cool
tough.
steps to start
Yeah.
taking, or maybe even practicing, because I
Yeah.
think we're creatures of habit, right? So I would definitely say one of the first thing, practice freaking saying no.
Yeah. You have to say no to things that do not serve you.
Yeah, say no.
Yes.
I say no all the freaking time.
Yeah.
Like all the time.
Yeah.
Like poor cousin of mine, I had RSVP to his wedding, and that day I was tired. And I just sent him money. Like I was like not going because I feel tired. I was drained actually. Kids were a lot. Like I was just like not feeling it. So I was like, sorry. Not sorry, but sorry. Here's the money for my food. I have to say no. You know, and I do think there's a fine line in that as well. But practice saying no, you'll get better at it, you know? And like, again, back to like, I needed to recover in energy. I had the kids by myself. I didn't have a nanny that weekend. Like, it was all the things that I was like, okay, hold on. Have to fill up my cup before I fill up anyone else's, right? So that's when I went back to like, okay, no. Like, saying no, it's okay. So I would say first step, one of the major muscles that you definitely have to exercise.
Yeah.
Say no.
Saying no.
What
Yeah,
else?
I agree to that. Yeah, if it's not adding value to your life, and there's exceptions to that, right? Like if that probably is a podcast for another day of like how to fill other people's cups.
Right.
Right? But like first you have to fill your cup and make sure that you're taken care of and that you
Right.
have that bandwidth to do those things, right? Like
Yeah.
you can't pour from an empty cup.
You can't run on an empty tank.
Exactly.
Yeah, for sure.
And so saying no, actionable step one is definitely saying no. In
Yeah.
fact, to her point, it's a muscle. Like there's a lot of things that, you know, as a recovering people pleaser,
Yeah.
that like social obligations. Like I noticed this in myself like a couple weeks ago. Like somebody invited me to do something totally random on like a Thursday night. Like a few months ago, I would have dropped everything to be there because they invited me and it was important to them.
Yeah.
I'm like, no, girl, you got a lot of things you need to do. Like,
I'm busy.
You need to get your ish together before you go do that, right? So,
Yeah.
like, saying no, I think is a really big one.
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
huge. I think that's the major, like the number one.
Yeah.
The number one.
Like, does it serve me? No. Then say no.
Then move on and
Right.
practice it. The more you practice,
Easier it gets.
the easier
Yeah.
it freaking gets.
Yeah, absolutely.
And
yeah.
not acting out of guilt, I think it's another good like metric system, because when you get into the habit of actually like taking so much into like mind about like how another person feels, and I'm not saying don't be empathetic or something like that, but it's like when you go into victim mentality that you're like, oh my gosh, poor thing, like poor thing, and you start going again out of your way to, that's another I think metric system, like a hard stop sign. Like check yourself, you know, like does this person really need it? Are they coming from a victim mentality? Like are you actually taking care of yourself as well? Like I think that's another like a second good step. It's like if you're acting out of guilt, that's probably not the way to go.
Right.
You
and
know?
then you can't show up and like serve people like as your authentic best self whenever you're just there out of guilt. Like, you don't really want to be there if you're just there out of guilt.
Yeah.
So you're not putting your best foot forward, so why even do it at all?
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
What's another step?
I definitely think that, like, before you take action, whether it be posting something on Instagram or picking out an outfit or getting a tattoo, right? Like, it's like why do I want to do this? Just take a second.
Yeah.
It just takes a second. And if the answer is it's for somebody else or external validation, then you got to nip that in the bud. Don't post that thing on Instagram. If you're looking for the likes, don't post it on Instagram.
Yeah. For sure.
Like, I think that's a huge one. At least for me it was.
100%.
And then I realized I was doing a lot of things because I wanted, like, for the validation or
of others,
appraise
or
or whatever, pleasing of
yeah.
others.
So other people were happy.
But you want to know what's so funny?
What?
I bet they didn't give a crap.
No.
Like, we do a lot of things and we're like, oh, I can't, like, rewear that outfit.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh, what are people going to think? We were talking about this last night and they're like, I bet they didn't remember that. Like, they don't know you exist.
Yeah. Don't worry.
Don't worry, you're not that important.
Yeah.
There's a quote, like, my dad shared it with me, and it was something about, like, in your 20s, you care what everyone thinks. In your 30s, you don't care. In your 60s, you realize nobody was thinking about you in the first place. And, like, I think it's true.
If you live by that, you'll be a lot happier.
Oh, so much happier. Like, the energy that you
actually you become a genuine person, you know?
Yes.
Because you're very authentic. Because you don't care.
Yeah.
So, be authentic. Yeah. Say freaking no. Just say no.
Just say no.
All the freaking time. If you're a people pleaser, like, I challenge you for the next 5 days, say no to everyone. Just absolutely, just practice.
Yeah.
Even if, just practice it. Say no to freaking everyone. Do it for 5 days. See how you feel. I bet you're going to feel a lot better.
Or, like,
after you go through the guilt. Because I think that there's, like, a withdrawal process from it, right?
Like, look at your plate of everything you have on your plate. Work or friendships or relationships. Or just look at your schedule for the week. What is one thing that you could remove from your schedule next week that isn't serving you? Or isn't completely necessary and you would get fired from your job. Like,
right. Yeah.
But, like, what's one thing that is not serving you that you could literally take off your plate tomorrow? And
that it's for someone else.
And it's for someone else.
Yeah.
That's pretty...
I think it would start right there.
That's a great first step, in my opinion.
I think this was great.
Yeah. Awesome. Well, guys, let us know what you think. We want to hear from y'all and see what you want from us, like what questions you have. Hit us up. Follow us on social media. We're at The Good Seed Media. And stay tuned for next week's episode. Thanks for being here.
Bye, guys. See you soon.
Be sure to hit that subscribe button and follow along with us on social media at The Good Seed Media. And stay tuned for all the updates and more information.